G'day. Okay, so the last pack. This will be the last pack for a while, and yeah. So let's get into it. The Long Dark, exciting. I know the preview actually for the next pack has just come out. Glorfindel is a 5-threat hero. Okay, and I'm not one to, cry OP, but a 5-threat spirit hero, that's pretty full on. Okay, so what have we got here? Whoop, the quest log. Most useless piece of internet software ever. I would strongly recommend never using that because it is a waste of time. Okay, so difficulty 7, locate test. While playing this scenario, players are at times instructed to make a locate test. These tests represent the hero's attempts to maintain a sense of directions in the mind. A local test is made by a single player as specified by the card initiation test. The player makes the locate test. The player making the locate test may choose and discard one card from his hand to discard the top card of the encounter deck. Okay. Many of the cards in the Long Dark have the bold words "pass" printed in the bottom right hand corner of their text box. If the discarded encounter card has "pass" printed in the text box, the test succeeds and no effects trigger. If the card does not have "pass" printed in the text box, then the player has not succeeded, but may attempt the test again, repeating this action until either the test is successful or he no longer wishes or is able to discard more cards. If a player runs out of cards or declares that he is not willing to discard any more cards to the test, then the test is considered a failure. The player should follow the rest of the instructions on the card that initiated the test. Example: the card when revealed lost effects in play. Example, blah blah blah. Okay, I'm going to have a look at the cards to see what the hell that's all about. But it looks like you just say, okay, we've got to do a location test. We flip a card from the encounter deck and it says pass or loss, and there's an effect on it. Okay, got the cave torch again. And it's got secrecy. Okay, so another test, hey? So let's check out what these cards look like this time around and how they all go. I'm not going to cut up my box in the video this time. I think viewers have seen enough of that horror show. Some people just freak out when I do that. I just wanted to show people how I set up my my little... Okay, so give me a sec to get this into view. How's that? Okay. Okay, so the first guy is the new tactics hero, and he is Hammer. Okay, listen to this. Response. After Hammer is declared as an attacker, return one tactic event card from your discard pile to your hand, then choose and discard one card from your hand. Okay, I did a little bit of editing on the fly there, but that's pretty much what it means. So basically you tap this guy and you can draw a tactics event from your discard pile to your hand, and unlike a lot of the fetch spells so far in this game, it's any card in the discard pile. It doesn't have to be in order. This card is extremely powerful and I'm dying to try him out. Just some uses off the top of my head is that he obviously combos with Will of the West. So spirit tactics is what we're talking about here. Somewhere there has to be a spirit player. I mean, there's always a spirit player, but if you're making a solo deck, spirit tactics is probably the best way to go. And the reason for that is that you want two things with this guy. You want card draw, which is actually lore, but you also want the key card to combo with this dude, in my opinion, would be Will of the West. And what that does, that allows you or someone on your table to shuffle their discard pile. Because his effect, which is discard, basically you pull a card out of your thing and then you discard a card, right? Now, the two things you need to get that running is to reshuffle your discard pile, and then you don't care what you've been shuffling, and you want to be able to draw more cards. And that's pretty much the combo. You just go draw my cards, you know, and flip, flip, flip. Pretty simple. Cards to combo with, obviously Eagles of the Misty Mountain. Okay, cast Eagles of the Misty Mountain twice a turn. I mean, that's insane. You can cast Eagles of the Misty Mountain twice a turn, every single turn, until you've got your entire hand is full of eagles. Absolutely brimming to the brim with eagles. And remember, these eagles, they're all like 2 and 1 to put down. So theoretically, you should be able to get your entire eagle hand on the floor pretty quickly. Get Eagles of Misty Mountains out, and then you're able to like buff Eagles of the Misty Mountains up to ridiculous proportions. So that is one of his uses, to just get the entire Eagles deck onto the table. Okay. The other use for him, of course, is probably his most powerful effect, which is infinite feints. Just cast feint every single time a monster attacks. No worries, never have to defend. You can always overquest. Just feint, attack. No one attacks, you get no shadow cards. It's impossibly overpowered. Basically, as soon as you get feint in your hand, you've basically never have to worry about a card again. Now, the question is, how will you make this card work? And there's a lot of theories, but he seems to me to combo extremely well, obviously, with the Eagles deck and with Lore Spirit. So you either want, you probably want, if I was making a solo deck, I mean, he's only got 9 threat. If I was making a solo deck, I would use a Spirit and a Lore hero with him. If I was in a doubles environment, I would probably just go Spirit and have the card draw being handled by my partner's deck. Now, other cards that you would work extremely well with this guy would, of course, be Ziggy Miner. And the reason why, because Ziggy Miner is also a filtering mechanism. And what that means is that it puts cards in the graveyard, and it allows you to, it will just speed up that graveyard action, if you know what I'm saying. And what I mean by that is, what you will end up with is you want cards in your graveyard because you want to be able to pick and choose the cards to, you know, you want to be able to cast Khazad, like, you know, every single turn or every second turn or something. So you want these cards in your graveyard. So you use you know, Ziggy Miner to filter the cards and place these cards in your graveyard. What are you doing? Go away from me. Oh, go away, cats. Oh, you're so furry. Here. So you want to get these cards, you want to get them into the graveyard so Hedemath can play them out of the graveyard. And Ziggy is extremely good at that. And he also gives you ridiculous resources. So basically, I think the Ziggy deck is where this guy fits in. Okay? You turn the Ziggy deck into a tactics deck. So one of the big problems with the Ziggy deck is that because it had so many high cost cards, unless the combo went off, the whole deck failed. It was hard to get started. I mean, once that deck started rolling, it's pretty much impossible to beat. Can't sit in my Call of Cthulhu box. You'll break it, you big fatso. Sorry, my cat's crawling all over the table. Okay, so, and when you have Ziggy, of course, you can just filter your cards out, get those resources. So you can start filtering out, choosing those small value cards to go into the discard pile, and there's a use for that, rather than just losing those cards completely like in the old deck. And then, of course, the Ziggy already has card draw. The Ziggy deck has card draw, and the Ziggy deck has recycling built in. So, extremely powerful hero. I have my suspicions that he will just own everything. Like, seriously, basically infinite feints. We all know how good feint is, and basically we're in a situation where you don't have to ever worry about being attacked, because you can just cast feint every single turn. It's a pretty amazingly powerful card. Blah 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 blah. Yes. Next. What is next? Okay, so now we have a little guy called Estor. He's a Noldor. Choose and discard one card from your hand to draw one card. Limit once per round. Okay, so this is another filtering mechanism, and this is the same kind of thing I was just talking about. Obviously this card is designed to work with Hammer, and it's like the Ziggy thing. It filters cards into the graveyard for you, but at a much reduced cost and effort. It is 4 to cast this guy, though, so it's actually harder to get on the table, but this is a pretty good card. Basically, in Magic the Gathering, they call this effect, I don't know, what do they call this effect? It's been so long. Anyway, it's this effect in other card games like Magic the Gathering has always been extremely powerful. I can't remember the name of that card off the top of my head now. Mirkwood something, I don't know, whatever, not Mirkwood. Whatever. The point is, draw a card, discard a card is a very, very strong effect. Sure, you're discarding a card, but what you're actually doing is getting card draw. And any kind of card draw is better for your deck. Because the thing is, if a card is dead in your hand, it's dead in your hand. It's not doing shit. Get it out of your hand, replace it with a card that's possibly good. You can do that every turn. And note that, actually, I'm just thinking, action, choose and discard one card. It doesn't tap. This effect does not have a tap effect. Wow. I only just noticed that. I almost didn't notice that, actually. This card does not have a tap effect. What that means is you could literally just go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, just draw like 10 cards in a row. Is that right? Limit once per round. Okay, forget that. That can't. Yeah, that was just way too powerful. Okay, forget that. Fresh tactics. Response. After an enemy is added to the staging area, deal 1 damage to that enemy. Players ignore that enemy while making engagement checks this round. Okay, so this is an interesting card. I have not seen its like before. One, it's got damage to people in the staging area, and that's obviously good. Combos very well with Tharlan, who's putting the damage on when they get revealed. But its real effect that I find interesting is players ignore that particular enemy's engagement check for the round. That could be a lifesaver. That could really make the difference. Of course, if you're running Hanomar and you're friggin' casting feint every single turn, it doesn't matter if they attack. But I think this is an interesting card, and I like it. I think they've made the leadership sphere is really starting to come together as the sphere that it's designed to be. I mean, when it first came out, when the game was first live and stuff, it just seemed such a weak sphere, leadership and tactics, and we couldn't really figure out what the deal is. And now the support abilities like that card of leadership is just getting better and better and better, and it really is one of the best spheres now. It's hard to make a deck without running a couple of the leadership support cards. Okay, what else has Tactics got in this pack? Erebor Battlemaster gets +1 attack for each other dwarf character you control. Okay, so this is a pretty interesting card. He's very, very good. He costs 3. And remember, heroes count as dwarf characters. So if you're running a 2-player game and you're running a full dwarf setup, that is, what, +6 almost already? So he's already attacking for 7 on turn as soon as you play him. That's pretty good. If you're running a dwarf deck, this guy should be in it, is what I'm saying. There's no reason not to. In fact, you definitely He definitely should be in it. Okay, so next, Ringmail. Attached to a dwarf or hobbit character, and it's restricted. Now, yeah, restricted. Attached character gets +1 hit and +1 defense. +1 hit points and +1 defense. Okay, so it's an interesting card. I think that the thing is, it's restricted. And there's a lot of very, very good restricted cards. And they're starting to add up. Like, back in the old days, the restricted was like, well, who cares if it's restricted? I'll just play it. But now you're really having to make an agonizing choice over what restricted cards. And is this card going to be better than some of the other restricted cards? Is it better than Horn of Gondor? Is it better than this? Is it better than that? There are so many restricted cards that are vital combo pieces to older decks, you know, and would this be a good card to change that? Obviously, it works fantastically with hobbits. Oh, it actually can only be cast in dwarfs and hobbits. Yeah, so obviously, I think hobbit is really the best location for this because they get +1 hit point and +1 defense. Frodo is a really good target. I always play with Bilbo on the table pretty much, so great target for Bilbo. It's kind of like that Hobbit Boots. There's something, I think it's called Hobbit Boots. It's sort of an underwhelming Hobbit-only attachment that gives them +1 health. So it's basically an improvement to that card. Yeah, interesting card. Not too excited about that one, to be honest. But I think it's definitely playable. But I think that restriction, the restricted keyword, is really quite restricting, funnily enough. Wow, 5-cost spirit, nice. I'm always into 5-cost spirits because I'm probably the only player in the whole of the Lord of the Rings world that likes the Ziggy deck. So 5-cost cards are awesome because they just make that deck powerful. Okay, it's got Secrecy 3, so you can cast it for 2. Enemies engaging with you cannot attack this phase. Okay, so that is a pretty good... That's a pretty good card. Not much to talk about there. If you can afford to cast it, why the hell not? But then again, if you've got infinite feints, that card becomes a little less powerful because it costs 3. It costs 2 on Secrecy, 5 on whatever, when feint costs 1. Shrink. Okay, next. The next guy. We need more of these. Ever my heart rises, hey? Attached to a dwarf character. Response. After you travel to a mountain or underground location, ready attached character and you reduce threat by 1. Okay, so... yeah, this is one of those cards that's it sounds pretty good in theory, but in some ways I think that it would, I don't know, it's not that good to me. One, it uses dark and underground, okay? Which means that, and this is actually a gripe that I am having with this game at the moment, and I've seen some other people posting, there's an entire thread on it in Board Game Geeks at the moment. People are starting to notice that there's a lot of player cards that trigger off keywords that only exist in a particular cycle, in this case dark and underground. The next cycle, like this card is unusable if you play anywhere in Mirkwood, this card is unusable, we imagine, if you play the Hobbit expansion coming, or if you play the next cycle. It only works in Daradelf and Khazad-dûm. So, and that's really frustrating. I mean, we've got all this trouble with collecting these cards, and now we have player cards that we can't actually use anywhere else except, you know, the quests that they were designed for, which makes people think, well, why are we collecting this? I could just say, well, that's an interesting quest, I'll buy that one quest, you know, and I don't have to worry about the collecting aspect. So it's a gripe I have, so I just don't like that card for that reason. It seems fairly powerful if you're in those quests, but if you're not in those quests, then the card is basically a coaster. It's not even like a dead card. It's a completely useless card. It literally does nothing. Okay, so next we have Warden of Healing. Ooh. Action. Exhaust Warden of Healing to heal 1 damage on up to 2 different characters, then pay 2 lore resources to ready Warden of Healing. You may pay. Okay. Interesting card. Will this be a replacement for... This could become a... It's still only got 1 damage. This is basically... Interesting. I'm not sure about this card. This is one of those cards that seems fantastic, but is it better than the options we've already got? And I'm going to say yes. Beg your pardon. I think this is better than Daughters of Nimrodel. Daughters of Nimrodel is a fantastic card. I use it all the time. You tap and you can heal off any hero. This guy, on the other hand, can heal characters. Oh, wow, that's awesome. So he can heal allies, is what I'm saying, which Nimrodel can't. He only heals 1, he costs money to untap, but at the same time, you don't have to use that untap ability. And there's a possibility that this is going to increase the usefulness of what's it called? Self-preservation. There's an attachment called self-preservation, which is you tap the attachment, attached hero gets 2 health knocked off him, 2 damage knocked off him. And it's like, it's been a fairly underused. The only people who've really been using it is people who run Gloin resource engines. But this card could possibly, this card comboed with that other card could possibly make an extremely powerful healing deck, where you have, yeah, we'll have to see how it goes. But either way, I think this card is good. Obviously, costing 2 resources to ready is very, very expensive, but it does mean that in a pinch you can save him from destroyed tapped card effects. Unlike the Nimrodel, one of her greatest weaknesses is that she can be killed so easily, even if she's not questing. Yeah, I really like this card. I think this card is definitely going to be making its way in, except the only thing that's a little bit iffy about it is that you really need to be running some kind of resource engine to utilize that second part of his ability. Okay, so this is my mate Hilarious Pete's favourite card. He's been raving about this card. He's been raving about it. He sends me emails. Oh, my new favourite card. This card is so awesome. The awesomest card. Let's have a look at it. Is it worthy of his adoration? Okay, word of command. Exhaust an Astari character and search your deck for 1 card and add it to your hand and shuffle your deck. Okay. Obviously, that's pretty crazy powerful. And there are only 2 Astari characters in the entire game at the moment, and that is Radagast and Gandalf. Now, what does that exactly mean? How is this usable? Obviously, it's usable in the Eagle deck. Eagle deck is looking super strong. Super strong. And, you know, we're going to be using this to fetch Eagles of the Misty Mountains or support of the Eagles, basically, in the Eagle deck. And, well, you know, the thing is, you need the Astari character to cast. So there's a couple of interesting little combos you can do here. Obviously, it works perfectly with Radagast, because Radagast is on the table, you can tap him. But you can actually use it with the other Gandalf as well. You basically just have to exhaust an Astari character. Now, a lot of people use the other Gandalf. I say the other Gandalf because there's a new Gandalf coming in The Hobbit. But the original Gandalf, a lot of people use that guy solely to cast threat reduction. You know, and if you're using it just for that, then you can there's actually a window of opportunity to tap him before he bounces back into your hand. So you can combo this. You can use this card on Gandalf through sneak attack, is what I'm trying to say. So he's not quite as situational as possible, and there is always the opportunity for us to see more Astari. We're obviously going to see different versions of Gandalf and Radagast, but there are actually a lot more Astari in Lord of the Rings that we have not had, and I'm not just talking about Sauron and such. Okay, so very, very powerful card, bit situational. I'm not quite sure exactly how I would use it. The most interesting part about it is that the card cost, right, is exhaust an Astari character. Now, the rules state that you must pay your card costs, so you have to be running this card in the deck that you are running the Astari, and that is restrictive as well. So yeah, like I said at the beginning, Hanomar Spirit, I was saying, is the way to go, or Hanomar Spirit Lore. But it's looking like this card is really saying that Lore Tactics is a very, very good option, because this card is ridiculously powerful, but it works best with Radagast, and Radagast obviously works best in the Eagle deck. Okay, so wait, I don't have to. It's already got it. Right. Okay, thinking. Okay, so shink. Next. Okay, next. Shrink. Love of Tales. Okay. I like this drawing a lot. Is that actually Sam? Is that the first time we've seen Sam in this game? That's Sam, like, spying on Gandalf and Frodo. Okay. Attached to Lore Hero, limit 1 per hero. Response. After a song card is played, add 1 resource to attached hero's resource pool. Okay, not... Meh. Okay, it's a good card. It costs 0. But there's the question is... this is actually something I hear people talk about. Is a 0 cost card considered a dead draw? Now, this is a card that's like... It's not that cool, but it's not crap. You know? Gets you a little bit of... If you're running a heavy song deck, you know, you're casting songs all over the place, obviously you're going to get a few resources out of it. You know, you might get like 6 or 7 resources out of this card. Doesn't cost anything to play. You could possibly get, say, 5 resources out of it. You know, if you're playing a 3-player game, you'll probably get more. But I don't know. The thing is, I would rather draw a good card than draw this and cast it for free. Because you're only going to draw... I mean, if you haven't got Bilbo on the table, you're only drawing 1 card a turn. So this card becomes a dead draw. Even though you can cast it and it does have a fairly decent effect, wouldn't you rather draw a really useful card in that time? It basically just pollutes your deck. It makes your deck weaker. What you want when you build your deck, you want every single card you want to be fantastic. You want to draw a card, okay, that's awesome. You don't want to draw a card and go, meh, I'll play that and then just, you know, I'll get some songs later. Get out of there, boss. I've made the mistake of leaving my board game thing open. Okay, so that's it. That's it. There's no neutral cards this turn. Is that correct? No neutrals? No neutrals. That must replace the standard neutral song. Okay, so the quest itself. Let's have a quick look. I'll try and go through these a little quicker. I've been waffling on. Hanomar is just so powerful, it freaked me out. Okay, Journey in the Black Pit. Okay, I better do this. Okay, can I read this without... Your party is scouting the mines of Moria, searching for signs of orcs. Dark tunnels and twisting passages spread out in all directions, a labyrinthine maze that you can wander in forever if you take the wrong path. Setup. The first player attaches Cave Torch to a hero of his choice. Okay, Cave Torch we've all seen before. Click. Right. When revealed, discard from the top of the encounter deck until you discard X locations, where X is one less than the number of players in the game, minimum of 1. Add those locations to the staging area and shuffle the other discarded cards back into the encounter deck. Each location gets +1 if the player's quest unsuccessfully trigger all lost effects in play. Okay, that's strange wording. Okay, discard cards from the top of the encounter deck when you revealed X locations. Okay. Interesting, and I am going to send this card along to Phoenix, Phoenix made the Barrow Downs custom quest, and he actually had a very similar starting system, except his system had a flaw in it, and this card actually removes that flaw. Instead of revealing cards until you get the locations, you are discarding cards, which means the when revealed effect on treacheries and monsters does not occur. They go straight into the discard pile. Love that. That's really, really clever. Awesome. Okay. It is a 13 to go through. Interesting. Okay, nothing much really going on there. Continuing eastward. Time carries no weight in the darkness, and the hours creep by with no end in sight. The number of orcs in the mines increase as you head towards the east gate, but there appears to be little real organization within their ranks. You press onwards. Okay, so clink. When revealed, the first player makes a locate test. If this test is failed, reveal cards from the encounter deck equal to the number of players in the game and add them to the staging area. Then trigger all lost effects in play. Okay, well I have to see what the lost effects are. I don't know whether this is bad or not, but obviously it sounds pretty bad. If the player's quest unsuccessfully, trigger all lost effects in play. If the players defeat the stage, you have won the game. Okay, so I like this card. I like this quest, actually. This quest is looking interesting. It doesn't look too complicated. It's got some interesting things, and it's very important that you quest successfully so you don't trigger all those lost effects. Yeah, I like this. This quest is looking cool. Looking good. Okay. Where is there is not a cave torch. Okay, it's just assuming, I guess it's assuming we've got Khazad-dûm, so we can just use that cave torch. Okay, first objective is, actually I better leave that there because it's a unique card. Artifact Armor, sorry. Durin's Greaves. When revealed, the first player attaches Durin's Greaves to a hero of his choice. As an attachment, the hero gets +1 defense. Awesome. This is what I want to see more of. More cool stuff in the encounter deck. I like, obviously the encounter deck needs to be vicious, but at the same time, I really like the idea of there being good stuff, you know, like the idea in role-playing games of finding armor and finding loot is, you know, I mean, it's inbred into RPG players, you know, like rolling those dice and arguing with the GM. Oh, come on, why didn't that guy drop something awesome? You know, it's part of why you do dungeon crawlers and quests and stuff, is to get loot. And I've always thought that has been a missing element in this game, is that everything's so bad. I want to see more positive locations. I want to see more positive loot, I would like to see characters coming out, more characters coming out of the deck. You know, like you turn the corner, you find an enchanted, like Grimborn the Old. You know, you come out, you find an enchanted, you know, waterfall in the tunnels, and there's like a good spirit, you know, water imp there or something that helps you out. Whatever. The point is, I would like to see more variety in the encounter deck, and, you know, something cool like this. Woohoo, I found some awesome armor. Yes, I like that. Very awesome. Okay. Abandoned Mine. How does this one work? 3 threat, 3 quests to go past. It does have a lost effect. Return the top 2 goblin enemies in the encounter discard pile to the staging area if able. Okay, so this is a pretty interesting effect. Again, it has pass down the bottom. Okay, so this is the way it works. This has pass, so if we reveal this card during a locate test, it'll have pass. I really dig the little bat. I don't know if you can see that, but it's got a cool little bat symbol. Okay, so this is obviously a pass, and it has a lost effect, which is fairly vicious, I guess, depending on how long the game's been going. Still, not a bad card. So that's 3 passes. Okay, so let me just... I don't know. Interesting. Next. Dwarven Forge. Okay, lost. Each player must choose and discard 1 card from his hand. It also has a pass, and it's a 2/4 to quest by. Now, I think 4 quest is a really good number for locations, because it's too high for a northern tracker to really destroy in a single turn. You really want 3 or higher, because 2 trackers is what people tend to normally get during mid-game. Okay, so I'm enjoying this. I actually am really liking this quest so far. I think it's pretty awesome. Okay, there's only 2 of those cards. Okay, Silent Caverns. It's another pass, and lost. Exhaust all characters. Okay, so when exactly... Locate test. When playing the scenario, players are at times instructed to make a locate test. Okay, so we actually have to be instructed to make the locate test. And one of the instructions was on the quest card. So it's not like the escape test where you have to do it every turn, which is what I was thinking. So that's not nearly as scary as I thought. Okay, exhausting all characters, not cool. That's not cool. There's so many untap effects nowadays, so it's not as bad as I would think. Westfeld Horsebreaker, I think, would be a very good card for this scenario, just off the top of my head, just because of that particular card, because it can discard even while tapped to ready characters. Okay, Twisting Passage, Underground Dark, Forced. It's also got a pass. Before placing progress tokens on Twisting Passage, the first player must make a locate test. If this test is failed, do not place any progress tokens on Twisting Passage and trigger all lost effects in play. Okay, so this is starting to make a little more sense. So we've got 3 lost effects on 3 locations, and everything's going fine. We're passing our tests, but oh no, something we lose, and then we actually have to trigger all the lost effects at once. So this could have a real cascading effect, and I don't know. I think I like this. There's going to be terror flipping these cards. Now I know I'm probably going to get yelled at this, but this is the kind of effect that I think should be done with dice. Okay, because I love rolling dice. It's fun to me. You know, people complain about the randomness of dice. Well, this game is random anyway. I would rather... we're flipping a card if it's got a lost effect, or if we've got a pass or fail, you know, whatever. But when you roll a dice, you're shaking it, there's that tension, and then you're rolling, oh my god, I got a great roll, I got a bad roll. and it feels really fun, and it's really exciting, and it's good for multiple players, because people can, it's more interactive. There's more for the human to do. And the big argument against dice is that it's so random, but this game is random. But so I think this could be this Lost Fet could really start to get out of control. You're going to have horrendous staging area control. You don't want anything in your staging area. Okay, so let's check out the treacheries. See if we get a break here. When revealed, this is called fatigue. So I guess it's a tap effect. Each player must exhaust one character he controls, if able. Then if any player controls no unexhausted characters, fatigue gains surge. Okay. That is pretty benign treachery. You only have to exhaust one character, and what's the chances of everybody having no characters able to be exhausted? Very easy to play around, especially in the late game. Not threatening at all. No one cares about that treachery. Okay, foul air. Whoa, what is this? When revealed, the first player makes a locate test. If this test is failed, deal 2 damage to all characters and trigger all lost effects. Okay, so this is a pretty bad one. It is cancelable, obviously. So, there's 4 of these, I guess. Yeah, this is I don't know. This is. I'm just not scared. Treacheries don't really scare me. I mean, I'm still a big fan of Eleanor, and when you're running Eleanor, you can basically cancel any scary effect. But it takes some piloting. And what I mean by piloting is that you need to understand how to run your deck, and you don't want to be tapping Eleanor to cancel fatigue because it's pretty benign. But foul, you want to cancel foul air, and remember it. You do get a surge effect, which is obviously bad. But if it's if it's going to kill you, it's better to get the surge effect. I don't know. Treacheries don't worry me the way they used to, except for extremely heavy treachery scenarios where you can draw 3 treacheries in a row, like Rascabel, for example. Oh, there's only one of these guys. Let's leave them on the table. Okay, so I cannot read upside down. Gathering Ground, this one's called. When revealed, attach this card to a location in the staging area with the highest combined threat and remaining quest points. Counts as a condition attachment. Each enemy revealed from the encounter deck gains surge. Whoa. Now that is full on. Love it. Condition attachment that actually attaches to a enemy in the staging area. I love that. Now, okay, so this is an interesting card. It can be cancelled with when revealed. It's a when revealed, so it can be cancelled. But yeah, I love this card. I think this card is awesome. Really, really cool card. And obviously, it's you instantly think, oh, Mine of the Iron Hills. That allows you to discard things in play. But remember, it's being attached to an enemy, which means you can just optionally engage the enemy instantly and kill him off in one turn. So it's not really that scary. It's just a very cool card that forces you to change your plans, because you then have to attack that guy straight away. So I just love it. Love it. I think it's awesome. Okay, so next we have Vast and Intricate. When revealed, the first player makes a locate test. If this test is failed, raise each player's threat by 7. Remove all progress tokens in play and trigger all lost effects. Well, that's okay, so I mean that's a pretty crazy treachery card. 7 progress tokens, remove all quest items, trigger all lost effects. Pretty insane. Oh wow, another spider. Awesome. Cave spider. Okay. 3214. Okay, that's not too bad. Can kill him with 5, so he can be one shot by most decks nowadays on turn 1. When revealed, the first player draws 1 card, then that player must choose and discard 4 cards from his hand if able. Wow. After Cave Spider engages a player, that player may choose and discard 1 card from his hand if able. Okay. So, let me get this straight. Basically, when he's revealed, you draw 1, discard 4, and then when he engages, you discard 1. So that's a 5 discard for a solo player. That's pretty intense. Okay, so the when revealed effect can of course be cancelled, but not with Eleanor. Now it's been a while since we've seen extremely vicious when revealed effects not on treachery cards, and people might have forgotten that Eleanor can only cancel treachery cards, and Test of Will though can cancel any kind of when revealed effect. So save those Test of Wills, is what I'm saying. Interesting card. Not particularly fond of the art on that one. Okay, so who's next? Goblin Sneak. 2/1/1/2. 15, so he attacks pretty much instantly. After Goblin Sneak engages a player, discard the top card of the encounter deck. If it is a treachery card, Goblin Sneak engages the next player if able. Interesting. I actually really like this effect. I think this effect is awesome. Sort of screws up the way you engage. I think this is actually one of the better encounter cards I've seen for a while. I really love that effect. I love the name. Love everything about it. So you can optionally engage him, or he can engage normally because he's got 15, so he's probably going to engage the turn he's revealed. And then suddenly, woohoo! He zaps over the other side. Obviously, if you've got any kind of encounter control in your deck, it's going to be very good. So, what I mean by that is like Denethor or, Ear to the Ground, Rhythm of Song. People that can tell what's coming next in the encounter deck. Okay, and there's 4 of these little guys. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yep, I love this card. He's awesome. Okay. Goblin Warlord. 4/3/3/5. Okay, he's a bit... That art looks familiar. Okay, Lost. Each player must choose and discard 1 ally he controls from play if able. Shadow. Trigger all lost effects in play. Okay, so I've not been reading out any of the shadow effects. Yeah, this card seems pretty cool. I mean, there's not much to say about it. It's got some scary effect. He's got 4 in the staging area, so you want to be getting rid of him quickly. Yep, you want to get rid of that guy as quick as possible. I know that sounds like a bit of a no-brainer, but yeah, interesting card. Not much to say about that one. I've been racking myself trying to think of something cool to say about that card, and I can't. I've got nothing to say about that card. Okay, and Rockadder, last monster, another snake. He attacks with 3, is 0 defense, and he's got 3 health, so he can be one shot pretty easily. Rockadder cannot be attacked unless it has dealt at least 1 damage this round. If this attack is undefended, the player must discard one character who controls from play. Okay, so his shadow effect's pretty vicious. And yeah, you know, chump blocking is a fairly common thing to do, so it's not hard to trigger his you know, damaging effect. I don't find this guy particularly scary either. So this seems like a really, really good quest to me. I really like this quest. I love the cascading problems with the staging area. I like the fact that the lost target effect is oh, what's going on here? I like that the lost target effect is you know, what's the word? You know, not triggered every single round. Yeah, I really, really like this quest. I think this quest is awesome. So let's have a look. What are my favourite cards here? Well, obviously, you have to go with this guy. Okay. Why is that not focusing? Hello, focus. I've done something to the camera. And I pressed that button to view it. Now it's got this weird little box zooming all over the screen instead of like the normal focus thing. Anyway, it looks like it's focused now. Here's obviously the best card, player card. Absolutely ridiculously powerful. Might even be overly powerful. So that's the best player card, and my favourite, I love this guy. Yoink. Focus. The new orc, whatever he's called. There we are. Awesome. Great art. Great effect. I love the sneak effects. Swapping him around. Really, really cool card. And my favourite art. I said, what would that be? I'm going to have to go with this one. Word of command. I mean, can you go past a funky looking Gandalf? He looks awesome, doesn't he? He's got this weird... What is that thing anyway? I don't know, it's like a blue kind of light coming off his staff. I don't know, whatever. Unfortunately, I can't seem to get this in focus. There we go. Hey, it looks like it's easier if I slowly move it up. Anyway, awesome card, awesome art. It was a bit of a toss-up between this card and Haramath for the best card of the pack, and that is it. Lord of the Rings, The Long Dark. See if this works. Slowly bring it up, and it stays in focus. Ooh, cracked it. Yeah, I think this is probably the best quest to come out in a while. Seems like, since the best quest of Daredale for sure.